What's up, my shabuzzles, and today I will be talking about the way Burnout Paradise has changed after release. Let's go back to January of 2008. Burnout Paradise was released to critical acclaim and is known as one of the best racing games ever made. However, that did not stop Criterion from developing the game even further. They continued to release DLC packs for 1 year. They dubbed it as the Year of Paradise. Throughout this year, Burnout Paradise went under some heavy changes, from visuals to textures to content and even audio. So today we will be looking at the 2008 launch version on the Xbox 360 and compare it to the 2018 remastered version on the PlayStation 4, just to see how Burnout Paradise has changed over the years. And now just a little disclaimer, the remastered version is pretty much 99.9% identical to version 1.9. That is the current version on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, so they probably didn't change so much after that. So let's get into the differences. First off, we have is the initial loading screen. It's completely different from the newer versions. Version 1.0 features an overview of Paradise City, while the remastered version just contains a Paradise City logo, a blue one in fact. In the 1.9 version, it's an orange logo with Big Surf Island on it. And now we have the Electronic Arts logo, which looks completely different from the remastered version. In version 1.0 it has flames and stuff, while in the remaster it looks completely bland, lacking any animation. Even the animation from the 1.9 release is gone for the remastered. I'll play both of the files here. And now the Criterion Games logo. In the launch version, it appears as the same intro we've seen in previous titles like Burnout 3 Takedown and Burnout Revenge. In the newer updated versions of the game and the remastered, the logo was changed to something a lot simpler. I don't even know why they made these changes. And now we are at the actual press start screen. This is completely different. We get another beautiful overview of Paradise City. I actually really like this title screen. It looks pretty great. Sadly, in the remastered version, all we have is a card. It's like a brochure for Paradise City. It has a cartoony version of Paradise City, obviously, with advertisements for Big Surf Island, which was added later in the Year of Paradise. In version 1.0, after pushing start, it instantly loads into the intro screen, but we won't play that yet. In the remaster, we need to agree to the terms of service and connect to the Paradise City servers. In 1.0, you can no longer play online, so it obviously doesn't attempt to do this. Now here we are in the intro. In version 1.0, the Paradise City logo appears slightly different. And a shot here, the versions show completely different shots of the city. In version 1.0 we see a Crash FM billboard, and in the remaster we see some fictional advertisement. In the remaster we can see Big Surf Island sitting there on the map. Version 1.0 obviously lacked Big Surf Island. And here in version 1.0 the license looks a bit different. We have DMV, BMV, I can't tell, it's too low resolution. The remaster lacks these yellow logos and the license obviously looks nicer here. And now we are at the second intro video with DJ Atomica. The DMV logo is pretty much identical. In version 1.0 the ribbons are red, while in the remaster the ribbons are blue. The cutscene playing in the background on the original game is running at 30 frames a second, while in the remaster we get the smooth 60 frames a second. I've actually gone through this screen right here multiple times in the 360 version. The picture is extremely low resolution, while in the remaster the picture looks nice and sharp. In version 1.0 we can see that the car actually looks banged up. I mean, to me it looks banged up. In the remaster, the car looks a lot nicer, although it's still pretty banged up, to be honest. In version 1.0, it actually flat out tells us that there's 75 cars in the game. In the remaster, it says 1 out of 1, however, the next time you visit the junkyard, it says blank out of 75. Also in version 1.0, the Hunter Cavalry has 2 speed points instead of the 1 speed point from the remaster. I've actually heard that they nuked this video because they nuked this car because I've heard that someone beat the game with just the Hunter Cavalry. In version 1.0, I also noticed that the door is open. In the remaster, the door is closed. Alright, enough with these tiny little changes. In version 1.0, it automatically skips Guns N' Roses' Paradise City. A different song plays after you exit the junkyard. And we can also see that the box that shows off the song is completely different. The text is also different. And now we have our first big change. When DJ Tamika needs to freeze the game to tell you about something, in version 1.0 the game pulls this black and white filter, while the remaster obviously doesn't pull this filter at all. Also, on the radar, the map and the icons look slightly different in the older versions. Now we are going into the pause menu, which has bigger changes. The boxes are red in the original version, while everything is blue in the remaster. Things are listed different here, however the stats remain the same. Now in Under the Hood, the remaster contains time of day that allows you to, well, change the time of day. You can select how long the days are, or select a constant time. For an accurate comparison, I will set the time to midday. In the remaster, we have a soundtrack option. In version 1.0, we have EA tracks. And in here, you can also see that the game goes black and white for the background image in version 1.0. Now, let's stop the remaster right now. In 1.0, we have sponsor product codes. This will allow you to enter codes for sponsor cars. Enter the code and earn the Burnout license, and you can drive Best Buy, Walmart, GameStop, and other sponsored themed cars. The remaster removes this because the license for the cars expired. In the soundtrack menu in version 1.0, it's listed completely different. It gives it a more edgier feel to it. It's up to you what you prefer. And in the remaster, tracks 25 and 26 is missing. Criterion has stated that they were unable to obtain the licensing for these tracks, so only the original 360 and PS3 versions have these songs. The maps are identical as well, it's just 1.0 we are missing Big Surf Island and we have this slightly different textured map. We can actually see that 1.0 actually plays during the sunset as it looks more orange. While driving around, the miles driven text is different. The Hunter Cavalry is actually a darker shade of blue in the original. It's most likely due to the washed out lighting that makes the cars look darker than they actually are. In version 1.0, the time limits of the events are smaller. As we can see, we only get 30 less seconds to complete this first burning route. It may be due to the fact that the Hunter Cavalry is slow in the remaster. The beginning cam in the remaster is at 60 frames a second, while the original is at 30. And in version 1.0, we can obviously see that the Hunter Cavalry is actually showing off its extra speed stat. In version 1.0, the billboards are completely different. I can show you a better shot right here. Version 1.0 obviously has better billboards, they just look more creative, while the remaster is just this bland red billboard with the game's logo on it. I've actually heard that fans begged Criterion to change these billboards so they'd be easier to see. In turn, easier to see billboards just look more bland to me. And at the end of the event, the You Win banner is yellow instead of blue. And the car unlock screen is slightly different. The Easy Drive menu is also slightly different. In version 1.0, we lack a Restart Last Event. This was added in the later update. On Criterion's Twitter, they said that they did not include this option because they wanted players to explore the city. However, they added it in the end due to the backlash. And we have something called the lineup here. I actually don't know what this does. I should have tried it. In Freeburn Online in version 1.0, the boxes that store the 3 options are a lot smaller. In the remaster, they look more wider. And here we have proof that different billboards are completely placed around Paradise City in both versions. This billboard in the remaster shows up the Extreme Hot Rod, which is a Boost Special DLC vehicle. In version 1.0, it shows the Crash FM podcast, which is something Criterion did back in the day. Now let's go and compare to Marked Man. As you can see, for all the events in version 1.0, the background turns black and white, while the remaster they are colored. Also, the background video of the car driving is in 60 FPS in the remaster, the original is also 30. And as we can see here as well, the remaster lacks any sort of motion blur. In version 1.0, the game does this black and white filter when you crash. It actually does a decent job on making the crashes look more dark and gritty. The remaster obviously doesn't have this black and white filter. As we can see in version 1.0 as well, the more that we crash and screw up, the more the color wears away from the screen. This black and white filter is what a lot of games used for health around the time this game was released. The remaster, of course, removes this filter. And here we can actually compare the visuals with the black and white filter. 1.0 looks extremely washed out compared to the remasters with nice and vibrant colors. We'll compare it later when this black and white filter is not here. And now we can see the black and white filter at its worst. 1.0 looks extremely washed out, while the remaster continues to be bright and colorful. And after driving through the repair shop, we can see the colors come back and they still don't look as vibrant as the remaster. We actually can't see what happens when we repair the car on the remaster because I got totaled by complete accident, so let's just move on. Now we are going to compare the race mode. In version 1.0, there's a tune that plays at the beginning of a song. I actually noticed this because I had to pause the game because the music was way too loud. In version 1.0, we can actually hear a turn signal clicking. In the remaster, the sound is there, but it's so quiet it's basically impossible to hear. The position fonts are also different. And now we are at Super Jumps. Version 1.0 pulls the edgy black and white filter once again, and also has tons of motion blur. It also has a choppy 30 frames a second. The remaster ditches the motion blur and black and white filter and keeps it 60 frames per second. Now let's compare Road Rage. Now these are different events on the map, so that could explain the different requirements, so let's ignore that. But here, we can see that the car is driving. Of course, version 1.0 has the motion blur and the black and white filter. And on the takedown screen, the remaster, we have the GT concept, while in version 1.0 we have the Hunter Cavalry. And that's honestly it for Road Rage. Nothing else was different except for the edgy black and white filter we saw in the Marked Man event. Now let's take a look at Stunt Run. The countdown clock for stunts is completely different in version 1.0, and 1.0 also gives you a lot less time to recover from an ended stunt. And now here, since version 1.0 actually went to daytime, I didn't know that actually happened, to be honest. Anyways, here we can do a rough comparison of the graphics, and as expected, 1.0 has washed out colors compared to the remaster. And I've played both versions for about 30 minutes. I played each event once, and that's honestly all I could notice from the changes. Burnout Paradise has actually changed a lot over the years, however it has stayed as one of my favorite racing games ever made. And with this remaster out, finally tons of people can experience what this franchise gave to gaming, and I hope everyone here enjoys it as much as I did. And I'm not just here to diss on the remaster. Aside from a few big bugs, I actually think Burnout Paradise is a quality remaster. I'm just glad to see it on PS4, and hopefully 3 Takedown and Revenge can follow suit, because we really need good races on PS4. Because seriously, it's 2018 and we only have one good racing game on the PS4. But, however, I am not finished yet. I have a slightly older build here. This is the Burnout Paradise demo that released a month before the game's 2008 release date. This was a public demo and was one of the first demos I have ever heard of that you can go online with. This demo received negative reception due to the changes it made to Burnout, but in the end Burnout Paradise would receive universal acclaim and would be known as one of the best racing games ever made. Anywho, enough yammering, let's get into this demo and get this over quick. First off, we have the initial title screen that differs from the final build. Here it's just an image of the box art with the word demo on it. The EA and Criterion logos are identical to version 1.0. And the title screen is the same screen as the initial screen, but here we have different music playing. We actually have the real Burnout Paradise theme before they used Paradise City instead. Pushing start instantly takes us to an intro video. However, this intro video is completely different from the final build. We have our boy DJ Atomica talking for us in this intro over the girl that's seen in the final game. After that video, we have another loading screen that tells us what the full game includes. And after that, the same video from the final build plays. We get the same cavalry from the final game. The game is mostly the same, but what caught my eye is the cavalry burning route. It's a completely different event from the final game. It starts in a completely different location. In the final game, the burning route is right above the first junkyard. In the demo, it's down the street a little bit. In the final build, it wants us to race south to the Wildcats baseball stadium, but in this demo, we have to drive north to the country club. And even though we have to drive a shorter distance, we are still given more time. A couple of other things I've noticed is that there's no music playing. In fact, there's actually no licensed track in this demo. We only have two songs, Burnout 2's Panic Attack and the Burnout Paradise theme. They only play during events. And also, I've also noticed that the stunt run asks for way too much points for a first timer, considering how 90% of Paradise City is locked off. It makes it a pretty moderate event. The big thing I also noticed that's not in the full game is that after crashing in the stunt run, it actually shows how much points you earn during that combo. In the final game, it just says combo over. And the very last thing I noticed here is that this cavalry can take a real beating in the demo. See, look at this. I would have died from this, but here I survived. That's honestly all I could notice from the demo. That's all I could find changed between the versions. Which version was your favorite? Do you prefer the look of the original, or do you prefer the look of the updated versions? And give me your thoughts, and if you want to play around with the demo, you can still download it from the Xbox Live. And if you happen to still have Burnout Paradise lying around on the 360, you can clear your system cache and play the original version, and see if you spot anything that I missed. See you later, guys. Buzzly out. Together we